Hello, hello, friend. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing today? My name is Talia Joy. Welcome, welcome. So, actually, how are you doing today? How are you? Are you hydrated? Do you need to take a sip of water? Are you well rested? Have you been moving your body? Have you got your face out into the sunshine? Have you been in nature? I hope you're doing well today. Drop your shoulders. And no matter how you're doing today, you are absolutely welcome here. So I'm excited to dive into this episode, and we're talking about when we second guess our intuition. So maybe it's happened where you feel something, you sense something, maybe even you have like this deep knowing in your bones or in your cells, but then your brain comes in, or with, an hour or two, all of a sudden we have 87 follow-up questions like, what if it's wrong? What if I trust it and it doesn't work out? Is it just my head, or is it actually my intuition? Maybe I should ask 3 people and ask them what they think. If this sounds familiar, then this is definitely for you. And today we're definitely like the core of it is talking about how to trust your intuition instead of second guessing it, instead of doubting it. But I also want to talk a little bit about what intuition truly is, how to recognize it, how to develop it deeper. And then I'm going to drop, I don't want to hype it up too much, but I'm going to drop a casual bomb halfway through the episode that's going to show you what's actually going on underneath when we are second guessing our intuition. And it's a bigger loop that might be keeping you stuck. So we're going to talk how to move through that too. And it's just going to be a really good time. So if you are ready, I am ready. I don't have much to say before the episode today. So let's just dive into it. Take a sip of your water, drop your shoulders, and let's go. Okay, so first I want to talk about what your intuition actually is. And this is coming from my team of light, the team that I channel, as well as my own personal human experience with my intuition from the time that I was young, and then rapidly developing it over all these years to where I'm speaking to my guides and channeling, etc. So I want to say that your intuition is actually your soul speaking, or the spark of the divine that is within you. And the soul is slightly different than maybe the spark of the divine or the spirit, but where your intuition comes from is this place of higher knowing. So your soul has another level of knowing what you are here for. And source, your guides, your angels, your ancestors that are in heaven that are looking upon you, your higher being, your higher self, God. This is a higher perspective. So your intuition is a portal, is a channel. Think of it like a highway where all those bigger aspects can speak to you. So sometimes you're getting a message from your soul. If you have a close relationship with something like God, universe, a spirit guide, again, a deceased loved one or someone on the other side, that's all going to be from your intuition. So intuition itself isn't just one thing, but it's the pathway. So even when I said intuition is your soul speaking, I almost want to say intuition is the higher part of you speaking. And as you practice it, as you get to know it, sometimes if you're interested, you start deciphering like this feels like it's from a loved one or from my grandma, or this feels like it's from general source consciousness or from God. And sometimes it'll come in and feel different, and you can start deciphering that. But starting with the beginning, intuition is the type of guidance that you want to listen to if you're here for a higher path, for awakening, for moving through things, ascension, higher consciousness, personal development, transformation. Your intuition is going to be the place where higher wisdom, higher guidance can come through. So the next thing to understand, and this is kind of the kicker in it all, is that your intuition is very subtle. It's a calm voice. It's a peaceful knowing. It's a gentle flutter, a small nudge that says like, yes, or go here, right? Or it's a constricted, little bit tight feeling when we hear a no. And of course, our intuition can, in like life or death or huge experiences, can come in and feel like it's quote unquote yelling. But intuition itself is very subtle when you're going about your life, when you're being, you stuff is unfolding and you're having feelings. Like it's subtle compared to your ego. Your ego is loud. Your ego is obnoxious. Almost think of it like you're at a party and there's the one person that's just louder than everybody, standing on tables, yelling at people. That's your intuition, and it makes a presence in your mind. It takes up space. Your ego yells, but your intuition whispers. Your intuition is the introvert in the corner that, unless you're really listening, you're not hearing what they're saying. So it's almost like the ego has like a megaphone in our mind, and our intuition is a whisper. So this is why it's something that we need to continue to practice, because by default, the ego, or even just like loud thoughts, logic, our mom's voice, our uncle's voice, what I should do, like all those things can be so much louder than our gentle intuition that's offering us, source wisdom, going like, your path is unfolding, you're enough. But our head is going, but what do I do here? What do I do there? Right? So I just want to say that first of all, is that sometimes we're doubting and second guessing our intuition because we're not quite sure what voice we're listening to. So you want to really look for the calm voice, look for the peaceful knowing as the place that you can start to trust over the loud, reactive, hyped up voice that comes with our head as well. So usually that voice is blasting us with that fear, with that logic, with comparison, with expectations and pressure and, like just adrenaline sort of. And we have to learn to make space for the calm voice. So this is why I'm mentioning this with trusting your intuition is once we receive something that we can tell is calm, is grounded, feels right, it becomes easier to go out on that limb and go like, no, I'm certain that was my intuition. I'm going to trust it, right? So that's kind of the first level of what we need to do, is to distinguish between the yelling inner roommate critic, drill sergeant vibe, and the like soft sage that is offering us, few words, but powerful wisdom. So the next thing I want to talk about is that developing of your intuition so that you can trust it, because simply acting on it and seeing what happens is something we practice. So we have to learn to trust it, or have to learn to be open to trust it. And this comes when we develop it, when we use it. So think of your intuition kind of like a spiritual muscle. If you ignore it, it gets quiet. And I often joke that like people's spirit guides are sitting around the water cooler going like, I hope they use me one day, like I'm just kind of waiting here. And your intuition, if you ignore it, does become quieter and quieter. And they're just kind of waiting though. It's not like they go away or your intuition goes away. It just becomes something that's not dominantly practiced. But if you tune in, when you practice it, and then when you do act on it, it gets stronger. And it gives you the next step and then the next step, right? So we develop it by starting with the small stuff, asking yourself, what am I feeling about this? Or even simple things about what does my body want to eat today? Or what, should I do with my Sunday? I don't have anything planned. Go within, consult the intuition. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you're feeling, not right. Going within, being like, what do I need? Is it my body? Is it, my nervous system? Like what's going on? Basically starting to inquire in it more. And when you get those nudges, not just listen to it, but actually pay attention to it. So when you get the nudges, focus upon the nudge you're getting and almost like shine a spotlight and kind of going like, intuition, is that you? And if like, yeah, that was clearly my intuition, noting it, saying right now, my intuition is telling me I need more rest, or telling me to back out of this thing this weekend, or telling me to speak up. When we bring a spotlight to it, it's not just about you have to go out and act. It's more about like, hey, my intuition's there. I detected it. I see it. I always get people to practice this. And with clients, it's like, what was your intuition telling? Like, tell me about it, regurgitate it, shine a spotlight on it to go, hey, that is what it's saying. Because often, and I know you're a deep seeker if you're here, we experience something and we go, yeah, my intuition was telling me that for years. Like, we know it's there. So sometimes we need to shine a spotlight and be like, my intuition is telling me to drink water, telling me to take a nap, telling me it's my nervous system, telling me this person's good for me or bad for me, or, whatever's going on. So it starts with the small stuff. It starts with tuning in, practicing, and shining that spotlight on it. And then, yes, as we develop it, we practice going like, I'm just going to do it. And that's why it's fun to start with things like, what should I do this weekend? Sometimes my intuition's like, take yourself on a day road trip. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to do it. Right. And practicing going with it and just seeing what happens and seeing, that road trip might not change my life. But while I'm doing it, I'm like, this is fun. This feels good. And that's part of self-love. That's part of self-care. It's giving you that direction for a reason, not just because you're going to like run into like Tony Robbins while you're on the walk or you make $1 million. It's not all leading you to this big flashy thing. It's leading you to clarity. It's leading you to peace. It's leading you to self-love. It's leading you to healing. And yes, it's leading you to your next level. So starting small, starting with the everyday stuff and shining that spotlight on it as you receive things. Okay, so now we're going to start to talk about what is actually going on behind when we can't trust our intuition, or when it's hard for us, when we're second guessing it, when we're asking everyone else what they think, or asking for a sign and then being like, was that a sign? Can you give me a sign if that was a sign? And we just, are not essentially trusting it. There's something deeper, because as I said a second ago, your intuition is there. You are an old soul. You experience intuitive nudges and hits often, and you have many times in your life. Deep down, you do know, you do receive these messages. So what is actually going on is it's actually about self-trust. So underneath all of the, is this my intuition? Is it not? What if it's wrong? What if it's not, what if I misinterpreted it? It's not about your intuition. It's about self-trust. And I say this with so much love. As I said, you're already receiving intuitive hits, and you already know more than you may be giving yourself credit for. The reason you might be second guessing it is because you may not fully trust yourself to follow through. Trusting yourself to make the right call. Trusting yourself to handle it if you make the quote unquote wrong one. Trusting yourself to be able to say no. Trusting yourself to be able to say yes. Trusting yourself to leave behind the thing that's draining you. Trusting yourself that if you take this new radical path, you can actually do it. Trusting yourself to choose the thing that lights you up, to show up for yourself, to believe in yourself, right? Though that's a bigger thing. And I say this as a seeker on the path, also doing self-healing, also doing all of this work. This is what tends, I see with my clients as well, this is what tends to create the upper ceiling in really trusting our intuition. And when you want to move forward, if you have a desire like I do to channel and talk to your team and receive stronger messages and stronger guidance and all of that, we have to learn to trust. Trust yourself, trust what comes through. But as I said, even trusting yourself to handle it if you make a decision and it doesn't even seem right, or like things crumble. This isn't about hearing your intuition better. It's about trusting yourself enough to follow it. So then the question becomes, how can I rebuild trust with myself, right? And this, it really does come up so often with clients, and it's not something that we see obviously, but then once it's brought to light, it's like, oh my goodness, right? And I totally can relate to this. The more you trust yourself, the louder the intuition becomes, and the more you act on it, therefore move yourself forward, Therefore, experience more intuition and continue to create momentum in a beautiful new direction. That's what happens when you trust yourself, when you work on trusting yourself, when we practice it. So the more you act on the nudges, the more confident and guided you feel. And this is where the real power is, especially with intuition. So before I wrap up, I just want to say what we can do to start to build and create self-trust again is, first of all, to be really aware of your word with yourself and how you speak to yourself. This is where we get really nitty-gritty. If you were a friend following you around, if you were condescending, if you were saying you're never going to do it, or yeah, you probably won't stick to it, that is going to break trust. If you make promises and don't follow through, and I'm talking about with yourself, that breaks trust. How is your word with yourself? How is basically your integrity with yourself? Are you showing up for yourself? Are you listening to yourself, to your body? Like, this is the big work here. And this is where we start to rebuild self-trust. I trust that I will show up for me. I trust that I can walk myself home. I trust that I've got this. And that's where most of the work becomes, right? But really look at self-integrity, your word to yourself. Don't make promises that you're not keeping. Just instead, less promises, more integrity. But also when it comes to your intuition, really shine that spotlight, as I mentioned, and then celebrate yourself when you listen, even if it's small. Drinking more water, speaking up, going on a walk, really reinforce the behavior of like, yes, you listened. And I talk to myself all the time. You guys know this, but I'll say like, look at you listening to your intuition. Like my intuition told me to, and here I go. So reinforce that, celebrate, hey, I trusted myself and that felt good. Also, you can start to keep a proof of success journal. If you're a member on the path, we've been through this several times. But when we log our evidence of success, when we keep a little bit of proof, even in your normal journaling, you could just be like, oh my goodness, today, like I trusted my intuition with that thing and then this thing worked out. Or I, got the nudge to bring water on, my hike and I did, and I'm so glad that I did. Whatever it is, right? Keeping a little proof journal of the times when your intuition was right, or the times that it gave you a nudge and then you listened and there was something beautiful that came from that. The more evidence you have, this is now just working with the brain, the more your brain will soften to trust your intuition, because your brain really does need proof. So the more you go, you know what, there was that time where I had an intuitive nudge and that thing happened. Or there was a time when my intuition told me to bring water and I'm so glad I did. Little, big, whatever, really start noticing that proof. And then the other one comes into just the general concept of self-trust. Continue on the work of showing up for yourself. Continue down the path of asking your body, your mind, your nervous system, what do I need? And it can change day to day, hour to hour, month to month. Really just tuning in. That is where self-trust really starts, because think of it again like it was another person. When you trust that a friend or a lover or a family member will show up for you, when you trust that they have your best interest, when you trust that they're telling you the truth, or that, ultimately they have your back, that creates right? And that deepens the relationship. That makes for a quality relationship. So we need to build trust with ourselves. That's first and foremost, building trust with ourselves. Looking at your self-integrity, also noticing your intuition, celebrating it when you listen to it, and really noting and continue to note the times that it nudges you and it's right, and you're glad you listened, whether it's big or small. So I hope that this resonated with you. I want to let you know that I decided to put my program, my signature program, Awakened Intuition, on sale right now, in relation with this episode. If you want to go deeper to not only uncover your intuitive type, but to learn how to access it, meditations, trainings, everything, it is such a good program. I will put the link below. And I want to just remind you that your intuition is not broken and you're not disconnected from it. You've just been trained to doubt your power. You've been trained to doubt it. And now you're undoing that. in your life, in your growth journey, in your awakening journey. You're coming home to your intuition. You're rebuilding that connection no matter where you are now. You're building it more. You're remembering you can trust yourself. You're remembering you can trust in the divine guidance that comes through you. Your soul is always whispering. Your higher being is always whispering. Your guides, your angels, and the more you listen, the louder, and it's not even louder, the more clear and the more precise that it gets. So I really hope that all of this resonated with you. You can check the link below for that program, Awakened Intuition, if you want to go deeper. And other than that, I will see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope that it served you. So before you go, I want to share something with you. If you're loving these conversations about self-growth and healing and moving forward, and you're really ready for more tools, more implementation, more integration, more structure, more what do I do? I invite you over to On the Path. This is my only private community, and honestly, it's the place to be if you want to integrate, if you want to deepen your journey, and you find my work helpful. Here's the vibe: bite-sized practices, ongoing support, deep dive episodes, weekly practices, monthly challenges, literally just keeping you on your path, showing up for yourself day by day, week by week, month by month. So this is where you really put it into action, and I've got your back with these assignments, tools, practices, shifts, deep dives, meditations, journal prompts, and literally everything you could need to carve out your unique journey of self-growth, self-healing, and transformation. So I'm not going to go on and on. If you feel called, you feel called. And if you check below, because you made it all the way to the end of this, you'll find a link to join On the Path for the first month for only $11. So after that, it's just $27 a month, and you can go at any time. Okay, my love, I genuinely hope this episode lit you up, and I can't wait to welcome you over to On the Path, and I cannot wait to see you also in the next episode. Thanks so much, and have a great day.